Hey everybody and welcome to a brand new 3-day media production. This is the AllOut Gaming Podcast. I'm your host Monty, and I'm joined by my Holotapes Weekly cohorts, the ever-brilliant Jordan M.
Hey.
And I'm also joined by the wonderfully dashing Jordan B.
Hello.
Is that what we're going to call this podcast? Just the All-Out Gaming Podcast?
I mean, I guess so. I couldn't come up with another name, so it can just be a placeholder
I've never been
until
called dashing before.
All-Out Game Talk.
All-Out Game Talk, All-Out Gamecast, All-Out In Your Face, I don't know. But, we're just going to talk about games and gaming news, so, I mean, the title's not that important. You guys will get the gist of it. Yeah, let's just get right into this. We're going to start off talking about some news here. Of course, over the weekend, there was a lot of big news coming out of the big conferences, PAX East and GDC. And now PAX East is just mostly, indie games and indie developers showing off their small titles. And like my personal favorite, Super Slam Dunk Touchdown, that combines football, basketball, and hockey into one giant clusterfuck of a game. I mean, I really want to play that.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I know, right? I mean, that would just blow away Madden and NBA 2K and whatever else.
I doubt that. Those are
really... it definitely would.
No, not at all. Not even close.
You just have to play this game, then you'll be a believer, trust me.
Yeah, sure.
And then you got GDC, of course, which is GDC is more on the technological side of things. So they were talking a lot about virtual reality and stuff in gaming's future. I know Jordan M has a lot of strong opinions on that, but we're gonna save them. So Valve debuted their new virtual reality headset called the Vive, which was announced a few days ago in a partnership with HTC, and attendees even got to experience a demo featuring Portal, which I know the other Jordan really liked.
Was it Portal or was it Portal 2?
No, it was it wasn't either of the games. It was just something they created just for the virtual reality thing. Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
Portal 3.
Yeah, that could become a hit with Valve's games. They could even make a Half-Life virtual reality thing. That'd be pretty cool.
The Vive is definitely a lot more powerful than some of the other ones that we've seen, like Oculus Rift. From what I've read on the stats on that, what is it? It's two screens at 120 frames per second. Is that correct? Yeah. But anyways, it looks pretty interesting, and personally, I think that virtual reality is a fad. I don't think it's ever really going to happen. I mean, we saw sort of a huge pickup with it around the time of the Virtual Boy, and the Nintendo 3DS has been trying to make 3D and more of that virtual reality stuff trying to come to light for a long time, and it really just doesn't work in video games. I think that there is enough innovation within graphics design and TVs. We're getting 4K TVs becoming more and more affordable now. We've got smart TVs, and we've got a lot of different graphical things. We've got the new Unreal Engine coming out that has a lot of promise, and a lot of other really strong graphical players coming into gaming and movies and things like that. And I think that trying to create virtual reality is just not going to work, or it's going to be a niche market.
Well, I mean, you got a bunch of other companies, doubling down on this. You got the Oculus Rift, of course, which has been talked about for years now, which also had a demo at GDC, and it continues to wow, journalists and such. So, I mean, apparently they got it down pretty good now, and also there's Sony's Project Morpheus, which is also dropping in the first half of 2016. Which was just announced.
Well, like I said, I don't see it becoming a mainstream thing. I think that we're going to see, certain games having access to it, but I think that for most of the market and for most people, a TV is fine and good for playing. And I think that having to wear something on your head to do something along those lines is sort of just overkill. And honestly, I kind of enjoy my games in front of me on a TV because I feel like they have to work more for me to be immersive. And that's a good thing because it means that they're going to get really, really good storytelling and really, really good graphics to make sure that I'm in that game. If they're using virtual reality, they can cut back on the story, they can cut back on the mechanics, and I'm still getting that same feeling. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, but we're going to save the rest of that talk for a little later in the podcast. So yeah, you can get the Project Morpheus the first half of 2016, but the other two, the Oculus Rift and the Vive, still don't have release dates, so you can think that we'll hear more about them soon. But some more news here. On another note, heists are finally launching for GTA Online this Tuesday. I've been waiting for those for about a year and a half.
Supposedly.
I mean, they've delayed it about 18 times, it seems like, but...
Yeah, and, it's really strange to see Rockstar failing on so many levels lately with the release dates, because we've seen Rockstar in the past being very, very strong about their release dates. They know exactly when games are gonna come out.
And also the PC version of GTA 5 has also been delayed again.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And these heists have been quote unquote coming soon since the release of GTA 5 back on the Xbox 360, the PS and the PS3. And I think that at this point, how hard is it going to be for them to drag people back to the game? Because I know they've lost quite a bit of their base since the launch of GTA Online, which was a lot of fun for a lot of people, but they wanted heists, they wanted more from it.
Yeah, I know me at least. I mean, I love GTA 5 single player, but the online never really kind of got me like sucked into it. I mean, I thought heists would be the thing that would, but after like a year and a half, like I just even with heists coming out finally, I just don't feel like the urge to jump back into GTA.
Well, and I think that's a lot of why Rockstar is adding quite a few other features with this update. They've announced these daily events, which are going to be able to get you up to $500,000 in cash for doing them in the correct way, and they've announced new vehicles, new weapons, and things along those lines. And I feel like they're really trying to bring people back in. But again, it just sort of blows my mind that a company like Rockstar that has been very, very steady on release dates and very, very good about bringing these things at the exact time that they announced them, their first release date announcement, that PC and heists have been so long in coming.
And it also really blows my mind. I mean, Rockstar is probably the biggest, one of the biggest developers in the entire industry. So I mean,
I will admit that before GTA 5 came out, I wouldn't have agreed with you. But now that GTA 5 is out, it is probably the second best-selling game of all time on consoles besides Minecraft.
Well, I mean, even before GTA 5 came out, they were still a huge developer. They had, GTA 4 was huge.
They were, but I wouldn't have called them one of the biggest.
Well, I mean, I guess that's debatable, but now they definitely are after,
Yes,
they have the highest-selling game in history. But I mean, that just shocks me that it takes them so long to just make this single game mode. I mean,
there's a lot that's going into it, and they wanted to make sure that it was perfect and work out all the bugs. And I'm sure that there's a lot of development cycles. But Jordan, being a non-GTA player, what is your take on these developments?
I mean, I'm pretty sure GTA was just released recently here, like
in Germany.
In Germany, yeah, but we go through a lot of censoring.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess that's fair.
Especially
there's a ridiculous amount of German censoring, and GTA really isn't compatible with most of it.
Yeah. German censoring has a lot to do with the violence aspect, and I think that we've talked about it back on one of our other podcasts. We were talking about how Germany has this thing about censoring violence. Australia has a thing about censoring.
Australia is really bad about that.
Australia has a thing about censoring sexual and drug content.
Hotline Miami too just completely got banned from Australia.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the UK also has a thing about banning a lot of drug content. And it's really interesting to see sort of how these games play out over the course of time as they get released in different countries, trying to work around censors. It's very, very
as a non-GTA player, the fact that these dates keep getting pushed back, it really doesn't entice me to want to play the game at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, the last time I played GTA was probably a decade ago, but...
A decade ago? What game was that, like 3?
It was on the PS2.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was on the PS2.
Top-down games.
Forever ago. But, it doesn't draw me back to it at all.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. And I mean, not many publishers really had the trust of the gaming public like Rockstar did, before this whole heist, delays.
I think that Rockstar definitely still has the public's.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an EA
trust.
Firestorm situation, but it's still damaging.
Yeah, I definitely think that it is damaging to company policy, but at the exact same time, the thing that would be more damaging is to release something that's completely broken.
Yeah, and I mean, now after it's been delayed so long, the Rockstar better make sure that these heists are, worth it. If they're not perfect, people are gonna just, pick them apart like crazy.
Absolutely. And hopefully it makes up, in the single player of GTA 5, you only had 5 heists, and I think that kind of bothered people, so hopefully that'll help make up some of the area in single player as well.
Yeah, so good conversation, guys. Moving on to the next bit of news here. Rock Band 4 is coming this year to PS4 and Xbox One. How about that?
While I'm excited for it, I think that this is one of those things where, we saw Rock Band and we saw Guitar Hero and we saw these kinds of games. And in my mind, you go back and there was no fall off for these games. They just sort of all of a sudden disappeared and their popularity just sort of evaporated with it. The question is, can they bring it back into the limelight, so to speak? We've seen other music games haven't done nearly as well since then. Dance Dance Revolution is no longer nearly as popular. Disney's Fantasia, which came out for the Xbox One, I'm not sure about PS4, was not very popular at all. So how hard are they going to have to work marketing-wise to get the public back into the idea that music games are cool?
Yeah, well, Rock Band, Guitar Hero, they were obviously, fads, but they were huge fads. They were just massive phenomenons. And, I mean, now you even gotta...
Go ahead.
No, go on. I
feel like we go through fads with music games every few years, because I remember, like, even as a kid, I played Dance Dance Revolution, and then, like, 2 years later, Karaoke Revolution came out, and all of my friends played Karaoke Revolution, and then it kind of went away for a little bit, and then Guitar Hero came out.
Yeah, I mean, video games are unique because, I mean, with, like, clothes and other things in culture, music, I mean, when those things go away, when those fads go away, they stay gone for a while. Like 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. But with video games, it seems like just every, like, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, it comes back around. I mean, we also got a new Tony Hawk game coming out this year.
I'm so excited for that.
I mean, that was a huge fad, too, skateboarding games in general. I mean, all we need is, like, another refit game, and, we'll come full circle.
Here's the truth about Rock Band, though, kind of getting more on topic, is, another issue with marketing of a Rock Band kind of a thing is you have to market very, very hard to get people to buy these auxiliary pieces to their consoles in order for these to work.
That was one thing I could never get behind. I didn't want to pay all the extra money and stuff.
Exactly. And, so how low do they have to cut that cost in order to bring people into it? Because video games have always been very, very standardized in their pricing for the past few years.
Yeah.
And it's
also, I just really fucking sucked at Guitar Hero Rock Band.
I was really good at it.
I mean, I played the drums when I was like in middle school, but I couldn't transition to the stupid touchpad things or whatever. But yeah, go on.
Well, like I said, it's gonna be hard to get the public convinced again that these games are cool, that they're interesting, and things along those lines. What I will say about these games is that they are very, very good for the musicians behind them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just to the point that it's ridiculous. I think that there was a stat that said that Aerosmith made more off of the Aerosmith version of Guitar Hero than they did off of any of their albums. So, that's a huge thing, and I know that these artists normally get a very large portion of profits from these.
Yeah, I'm sure Steven Tyler would be happy about a new Rock Band coming out.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So, okay, now moving on to our next piece of news here. The Mad Max game was revealed to be coming this September for PS4 and Xbox One, a recent Game Informer cover reveal. Are you guys excited at all for Mad Max or what? The original Fallout?
That's definitely not the original Fallout.
Well, I mean, like what Fallout was, kind of loosely based off of, inspired by.
Did you say PS1?
Did I say PS1? I mean, fuck. PS4, I'm sorry.
I'm going to probably have a little bit of controversial opinion here, but I think that Mad Max is sort of a very long time older story. I was very surprised by how well Alien Isolation did when it came out for the Xbox One and the PS4 and Steam and all that. And
well, I mean, the Mad Max series has been kind of dormant for a while now. I mean,
it absolutely
the movies
has.
with Mel Gibson were in like the late 80s, early 90s, but I mean, now you got the new movie.
Monty, they're much older than that.
Older than that?
They came out in 1979. I feel like the Mad Max game is something my parents would be more excited about than me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, I like Mad Max. I like the movies.
I didn't enjoy the movies personally.
I actually haven't seen the movies.
But I think that it really comes down to gameplay. You can convince gamers to buy anything that's movie related, as long as the gameplay is good. And
the studio behind it is Avalanche Studios. They made Just Cause 2, which was a phenomenal open world game, one of the best open world games we've ever played. So I mean, yeah.
Like I said, though, I think it really is going to come down to how well the mechanics of the game work. I really want to see more of a demo, and I want to see more gameplay footage.
I mean, the game will look good, but I'm not sure. I'm not sold on the vehicle combat stuff. I mean, that just doesn't appeal to me a whole lot. But
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll have to see more, like you said. And it's also, I mean, they revealed all this information in a Game Informer article. It'll be interesting to see if we see any Mad Max at E3, because I mean I'm sure they're very aware that we could see the biggest post-apocalyptic game series coming out at E3, Fallout 4, and if that releases in September, Mad Max, and then Fallout 4 say releases in December soon after, I mean it could be overshadowed a little bit by that.
I would say it would be completely overshadowed.
Yeah, I mean especially if it releases in like October, I mean it would just be awful for Mad Max.
I will clarify that I think it will be completely overshadowed if they have any sort of the same mechanics. If Mad Max is purely action and it's not an RPG storyline, I feel like Mad Max will still have a place. If it has anything to do with the RPG, the level kind of mechanics, then they're going to have more of a problem.
Yeah, because if people see like Mad Max on a shelf and then they see Fallout 4 right next to it, I mean, which one are they going to pick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna move on to our next segment here. We're gonna involve the audience a little bit. We're gonna ask a question every week, and then you're gonna leave a response in the comments or on Twitter at you can just, or we'll set up an official Twitter handle. But so our question for this week will be: Are you gonna buy virtual reality when it hits the shelves? Are you gonna be one of the first adopters? So let us know in the comments or on Twitter when we make an official Twitter page. And yeah. Now we're going to get right into that virtual reality talk. So, Jordan, you were talking a lot about how you don't think it's going to be a viable thing, that, you'd rather play with, just a TV and the controller. I agree. I mean, I'm used to a controller. I don't really need all this, immersion and such, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's something I definitely want to try out. But I feel like it'd be a lot like 3D. Like, I'll do it a couple times, and then I'll be like, oh, this shit's giving me a headache. I'm not going to do this. Just give me a controller. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think about that until you just mentioned it. But like, as someone who gets seriously motion sick, I can't imagine being in like completely surrounded by something like that.
Yeah, and like, I'm not sure how like the goggles work when you wear like glasses, but like when I put 3D glasses over my glasses, I just can't stand it.
That's because. In the case of these virtual reality machines, you don't have to have your glasses on. These are projecting something so close to your eyes that no matter what your prescription, I mean, it's like putting the TV 2 inches from your face.
Oh, I hope so. My vision's pretty shitty.
Yeah, mine is as well. I think all three of us, we all wear glasses.
Yeah, glasses are cool.
Here's the truth of it, is that the other thing that we're not really paying attention to is Morpheus and the Vive, are they going to be like the Oculus Rift, where the Oculus Rift not only sort of a virtual reality kind of a thing, it's a controller as well. We've seen a lot of games developed for it where you move using these goggles. If you tilt your head forward, you move forward. If you tilt your head back, you move backwards. And there are a lot of games for the Oculus Rift that are designed like this. Is it going to be more of a controller, or is it going to be like the... Pardon?
I was just reading about it. It's going to be completely a controller, like to the point that the way they have it set up is that there's...
yeah, I heard with the Vive there's like 2 stations. Yeah.
Yeah, they have like one behind you and one in front of you, and depending on where you move, that's how it works as the controller.
Yeah. And if you move too far one way, then it like stops you or something. It's really interesting.
Then I'm not going to buy it. Here's the truth. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
You could make a virtual reality machine or goggles where it worked as the right analog stick would, where it's my camera view. So if I wanted to look behind, if I wanted to look to the side, I could kind of look to the side or things like that. That would work very, very well. When you're telling me that I have to move my head forward in order to walk forward, I don't want to do that. That's not at all what I'm interested in. What I want to be able to do is I want to put these goggles on. I want to have my controller in my hand, and I want to be able to look around and only have to use one of my analog sticks and then tilt my head so I can look around and get a better view. Because I feel like if you have really good tracking on it, both through IR and through the motion sensor and all that other sort of thing, that would work very, very well, because you could get very, very direct vision, and you could have a very, very interesting first-person view within a game. Imagine a Call of Duty where I'm still using my controller to fire and everything, but if I want to look around the corner, I just literally move my head just a little bit forward and tilt it a little bit, and I can see around that corner, but my character isn't actually moving. The second that you tell me that I have to tilt my head to move, we have issues.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of the initial success is going to have to come from, having customization available and having options available for, players who don't want to do those things like you said. But I think the biggest thing that's going to come down to whether or not virtual reality is just, a little fad or is it a long-term success is that developers going to have to support it, and developers going to have to show, what they're doing to justify, the extra $150, $200 that you have to spend to, get a headset. If they make it worthwhile.
I think it'd be much more than $200.
Well, I think I think like the rumored price points for the Rift are around 200. I think. I think the Vive, the Steam machine or whatever, will be more because there's a bunch of peripherals with that.
But again, we're hearing about the prices that we're going to be hearing mostly for developers, and that's much different than what we're going to see as price points for us as the consumer.
Well, they're going to have to make the price points reasonable. Sony especially. I mean, no one's going to want to pay the same amount of money for a Morpheus as they did for the PS4. I mean, no one's going to want to do that.
Absolutely.
So they're going to have to make it, within reason.
And also, how is this going to drive game sales? I wouldn't expect game developers to charge the same amount of money for a game that they made Oculus compatible as they would for a normal game.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
we're going to see game prices go up to $100.
That's going to be another huge problem that I don't think that people are really going to see with this. And the interesting thing is the developers behind Oculus, they've been hearing that a lot of people are developing, virtual reality machines like this, and they're saying, hey, back off. This is, don't make this bad because you're gonna run everyone away from virtual reality again. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen is people are going to see this, and they're going to see one bad product, and it's going to put them off of all virtual reality machines. And I think Oculus has done a really good job of marketing of saying this is still very early development. We're nowhere near release. We're still maybe 3 years before we can get there. And instead, we're seeing Sony release Morpheus so soon, and Steam is talking about releasing Vive within the next 2 years. And Oculus is still saying, look, we're not anywhere near a full release.
Yeah,
and I think that
Oculus has the Facebook, machine behind them now because they were recently acquired by Facebook. So they got all the money and, development resources they need now.
But that's not the point. The point is that they're the ones who are smart enough to say, we're nowhere near release. You guys are going to screw up the market by releasing products too soon, and it's going to put everyone off of those kinds of devices. It's going to ruin it for everyone else.
I mean, we'll see if Sony follows through with releasing the Morpheus in the first half of next year. My guess is that it'll be delayed at least once before it actually hits the shelves. That's just my prediction. But, yeah, I think that whatever product hits first from whichever company, it's going to get the most, shit. Like, it's
Absolutely.
just going to...
Absolutely.
And if it is,
It would have to be very, very good, or else the entire market is going to take sort of a hit for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think even when it comes out as a full system, it's not going to be as widespread. It's just going to be a niche gaming market.
No, I don't think it's going to be revolutionary by any means, but I think it has potential, though. I mean, because I definitely want to try it out and, see what it's all about, but I just can't see myself, just playing every game 5 years from now, just playing every game in virtual reality. That just wouldn't suit me, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
I think another issue that is going to come up is our kids are going to call us old for wanting to play with a TV and a controller in our hands.
Yep.
So that's.
And they got their whole body suits on and their.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. And one more thing that I want to talk about before we go is the applications for VR in other markets. There have been a lot of developers that are trying to move this for gaming and things like that, but there are also a few movie studios now that are saying, no, the future of VR is not through gaming, it is movies. Imagine a 360 movie experience where you're at home, you rent this movie over the internet, you put on your VR headset, and you plug it into your computer, you put on your headphones that are equipped for surround sound, and all of a sudden you have this 360 experience where I can turn my head and see characters talking back and forth, and you could watch this movie over and over because you can get it from different angles.
Yeah, and that's probably the most highest potential part of virtual reality is, with movies and immersion and, all the
I think that in the future that's where the market's going to be, and that's where they're going to be making money.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to wrap this up here, but before we go, we're going to have one last segment. It's what each of us are playing. So what are you playing, Jordan?
Right now, Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
The original Roller Coaster Tycoon. No, the one that came out in 1997.
1997. Oh shit. Yeah, you
Cool.
just love your old school stuff, don't you?
It's true.
She's
Yeah.
playing GTA 3 and Roller Coaster Tycoon, people.
No, here's the thing. Has Scream? I know that Scream Ride was a sort of a bit of a ripoff of Roller Coaster Tycoon that just came out recently for the Xbox One.
And Throwville. Remember Throwville, anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how that stacks up against some of the older ones, and how some of these newer games that are in the very similar vein, Roller Coaster Tycoon, how do they stack up?
And speaking like that, Roller Coaster Tycoon building stuff, sad news, Max is shut down. The creators
Yeah,
of
I just heard about
The
that.
Sims and, SimCity and stuff. So that's pretty sad.
Yeah. Monty, what are you playing?
Right now, I just beat Dying Light, which I think is a fantastic game. I'm also playing the Advanced Warfare DLC Havoc, which includes, a new zombies mode. I'm a huge fan of zombies. I don't think it's as good as, Treyarch zombies, but any zombies is good zombies. And lastly, I'm playing some more modded Doom Vegas. Finally getting to those DLCs I've been putting off for 3 years now. So Jordan, what are you playing?
Well, I actually just finished 2 games. I just finished Rayman Legends, which was for free for Xbox Gold subscribers on the Xbox One. It was a fantastic platformer. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a very
Did you
fun
get Bioshock?
game. Not until the end of next month.
Oh.
With Rayman Legends, I feel like a lot of the platforming is very directed at a younger audience, but at the exact same time, there's a lot of challenge to it, especially in the later levels where, it's not only timed, but there's still a lot of collectibles that you have to get throughout it, and it was just enough of a challenge to keep my attention, but not so hard that I was getting frustrated. The other game that I got from the exact same thing was the Tomb Raider release that came out in, I believe it was 2012 or 2013. On the Xbox 360, and that was a very enjoyable experience. I thought it was very different from the older Tomb Raiders, but sort of kept in the same spirit. But it was a very, very good game, is what I have to say.
All right. Then we got Rise of the Tomb Raider coming out next year, I think, right?
Yeah, and we also had Tomb Raider. What was it? Osiris something that came out as a top-down platform, or as a top-down Tomb Raider game.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it came out probably, I think it was sometime last year.
Yeah. Well, this was interesting. This was fun. That's going to be it for us, guys, for the AllOut Gaming show or podcast or whatever the hell we're going to call it. Remember, hit us up in the comments or on Twitter. The weekly question is, are you going to buy a virtual reality headset when they hit the market? Why or why not? So let us know. The best response will be featured in next week's video. So, yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.